I'm a Salesforce developer, also a MuleSoft developer, and MuleSoft mentor, and I'm very active in the Salesforce Trailblazer community forums as well. So yeah. So today's agenda would be all about what is MuleSoft Composer all about, whom it is meant for, exploring an automation use case, considerations of using MuleSoft Composer, and at last, if you have any question and answers, I would be happy to answer them. So yeah, let's get started. So MuleSoft, so recently Salesforce and MuleSoft has started to push for the term no code or low code, right? Automation. So when we talk about MuleSoft Composer, the first term it comes is no code integration, right? So this is what we will be going through today. So before starting about MuleSoft automation, let's understand the term what automation actually means. So, the standard definition of automation defines that the technique of making an apparatus, a process, or a system operate automatically. So, in very simple terms, it means that whatever task you are doing today, the same repetitive task you are doing today, spending time over the weekend or over the week of your processes or something you are doing, I would rather have it get automated. Why? Because it would end of the day, it would save some time for you. And on the longer run, if we see, it really saves you both in terms of financial as well as from the time perspective as well. So automation is not limited to our IT sector, but itself is related to manufacturing, right? Like from manufacturing, transportation, including water and waste, oil, gas, electric and telecommunication. Then we have defense and all. So automation is used everywhere. But MuleSoft initially started with a product offering called Anypoint Platform. I hope you all know about Anypoint Platform. So with Anypoint Platform, we do API-led connectivity, right? API-led connectivity, API-led automation. So that is all about your Anypoint Platform. But recently MuleSoft has also offered a product called an RPA. You must be knowing an RPA, right? RPA stands for robotic process automation. It can also automate stuff for you. So these two are the two different kinds of automation currently present in MuleSoft. I would reiterate, first one, it is the our API led automation, and the second one is your robotic process automation. So, it's the businesses that is currently in loss. It's because first thing, if we think about a company, if we think about some 15 to 20 years back, the process would have been very much easy. I would rather say when we compare it to today, it wouldn't have been that amount of complex. So what happens is here, for each and every process, we have a human doing a task for you. So if suppose if I say a scenario that today I have an a standalone application, a legacy application which I am using, I would enter the record, then I would get the ID of that invoice or something. I would pass it to my other team through my email. So if you can understand that over the time, it becomes a bottleneck for companies, because in the process, if suppose if we occur any error or if the salesperson miss out sending out, then that could lead to financial damage to the company. End of the day, the company would be in greater losses even if the product is performing all well, right? So for that reason, the companies, after some time, when they started to grow and expand, they came to know about certain, they set up certain things, their targets. It was basically improving efficiency and employee productivity, then focus on mission critical tasks which cannot be automated, right? So the company started to look out for a tool which could help them, and MuleSoft was right over there. So in terms of percentage, it's certain 82% of business teams say that they need easy access to data and IT capabilities. And only 37% of organizations say that they have technology and skills to keep pace. But overall, if we can see with this kind of model over here, it actually increases the burden on our central IT as well as the business line of business developers, right? Because each and everything of automating the task is on themselves. So, as said, this is is a small example about how why automation is important, right? So, a sales team creates and maintains sales data in Salesforce and orders data in NetSuite. Every time an opportunity record is created to close one in Salesforce, they have to create a sales order for products from that opportunity in NetSuite. Currently, how this process takes, so my sales team would create a data, then I would email the data to my other NetSuite team, the NetSuite admin, then the NetSuite admin would manually enter the data in my NetSuite. So if I say that for one record this is fine, for one customer this is fine, but if suppose tomorrow my product becomes a hit in the market, you never know, your product would become a hit, and it would get very good responses from the customers, and I create hundreds of records, and if you think in a efficient, would that be an efficient that my sales team would send hundreds of records to a single NetSuite admin, or if I employ 100 NetSuite admin to do the task, would that be pocket friendly to the company as well? No, right? So this is all about your MuleSoft automation. As someone asked about, can we call MuleSoft Composer in my AnyPoint platform or not? So it, as said, this is all interoperability is present. So right now, if I want, then I can call my MuleSoft Composer to my AnyPoint platform, or call AnyPoint platform from MuleSoft RPA, and it goes vice versa. So, talking about the use case, how can I leverage these three powerful tools, right? So, I would tell you about one small scenario where you can get a high level overview about the MuleSoft automation package. So currently, my sales team sends me an email with a list of handwritten leads, and I want these leads to be into my Salesforce org. How can I perform this task? So uh, currently, if you think about this, I need to scan through my handwritten lead sheets, understand which is the valid lead, and then import it into my Salesforce. I only need the only valid leads, right? I don't want to be have any kind of error in that. If I have error, then that could mean loss of lead to any organization, and no organization would want that. For every organization, a lead, an account, or customer is very very important to them, because they bring the business to the organization. So right now, how we can do? So we can set up a MuleSoft RPA. So when I send an email, okay, my MuleSoft RPA would read the document containing the handwritten lead records. It would then, with the help of OCR, which is also known as optical character recognition, which uses AI/ML to understand the text, and then it would send the data to a MuleSoft Composer, right? So what MuleSoft Composer would do, it would then get the data, okay, from an handwritten format into a machine understandable format, and from MuleSoft Composer then would send the data to my AnyPoint platform to further process the data to make it more valid, such that my Salesforce would accept that as as a request, right? So with that, I send my data to AnyPoint platform. AnyPoint platform would then send the data back to my composer, and my composer can create records in my Salesforce org. So this is the entire power of our MuleSoft automation package. So that's what it's rightly said: automate anything, empower everyone, and deliver success now, which truly means about the MuleSoft automations package. Yep. So I said that the same wordings: automate anything, empower everyone, deliver success now. So, as I told you about these three products: MuleSoft Composer, MuleSoft RPA, and AnyPoint Platform. So, which one you would choose? So, again, someone asked me about this, right? So, which one would I choose about that? So, first thing, I would rather order them from simpler to complex. If it is simple, so again, someone asked me that if suppose I can do a task with the help of MuleSoft Composer, but it can also be done through MuleSoft Anypoint platform. So which one would I prefer? So talking about the same data volume and the complexity. If your task is very simple and not too complex, then I would go for MuleSoft Composer. If it is a bit complex, and you can see that in the coming times it can also become too complex, then MuleSoft Anypoint Platform would be the better choice. And when to use MuleSoft RPA? MuleSoft RPA is basically used if you want to access legacy systems, because these legacy systems won't be having any kind of API exposed, right? So if you think of a scenario that my older organizations are still using legacy systems which don't have an API exposed. Why? Because it becomes, when we onboard a system, it becomes very easy to onboard a system, but when we want to migrate to another systems, it becomes a bottleneck. And sometimes it may be easy to say that just migrate to the another system, right, a much better system, but it becomes very costly to the client as well, right? Because there may be other systems which are closely integrated, then it would again disturb the entire integration architecture. So because of those reasons, I don't want it to migrate as well. I would rather use the legacy system but I want some tool that it could help me access the legacy system, and I don't want my sales reps to perform the same task repetitive. So for that reason, I would use MuleSoft RPA. So again, it would go from simpler to complex. If it is very simple, then I would go for MuleSoft Composer. If it is complex, or if you want bulk data executions, or your data volume is too high, then I would go for MuleSoft Anypoint Platform. If you're using a legacy system and all, then I would go for MuleSoft RPA. So I talked about these three MuleSoft automation package products. So not each and every product is meant for other person, right? So the personas involved in each of these products. For MuleSoft Composer, I would it's built in from a perspective of an admin, or a developer could also work on that. But the only thing is, you don't need to code anything over there. uh, MuleSoft Composer, again, admin and developer. MuleSoft Anypoint Platform is purely meant for developer, right? We write Java code, or we need to write data wave scripts and all, right? So for that reason, we need a developer. And MuleSoft RPA as well, we need a developer who can better understand the entire robotic process automation package. Even though we don't have to write the code, but it becomes very complex, and only a developer mindset would be it would be easy for a person with a developer mindset to adopt MuleSoft RPA in much better and efficient way. So these are the personas involved in these products. Yeah. So I hope everyone is clear till now about the MuleSoft automation package overall. So right now, again, I would reiterate that MuleSoft Composer is not meant for very heavy scenarios. It is meant for scenarios where you think that the process won't be very complex, as well as the data volumes won't be too high, right? So going down to the implementation demo for today's use
Hi,
case.
my name is Sarfraz. I have one question. Like, I've been always confusing, like, uh, when to use RPA and when to use Composer. Consider a scenario like I have an external website. I need to
Okay.
extract the data, and then I need to update in the Salesforce. In that case, what do you recommend, and how do I choose between Composer and RPA?
So if suppose you have the external website, you have an API exposed, okay. So then for that reason, I would rather go with the MuleSoft Composer. If I don't have an API exposed, then I would rather go for MuleSoft RPA for that reasons. But when if suppose you come across a scenario where both of these will come across this scenario someday or another, that it can be possible by using MuleSoft Composer or any point platform, or a MuleSoft RPA. Then MuleSoft RPA would be your least preference. It's because when we develop a product, when we developed an robotic process automation, or RPA process, it becomes very difficult to retrack or get back and change the process, because there are many like there is a complete cycle over there, right? From the evaluate, design, then build, and then monitor and deploy. So if
Yes.
suppose you understand that I can use RPA, but also Composer or any point platform, then RPA would be your least preference.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the today's implementation scenario which I would explaining to you people. So over here, what happens here? So in Salesforce, I create a case record. We know that for each and every client, we create an account in my Salesforce org, right? And for each organization, account is very valuable. If it is a VIP customer, then it becomes more valuable because they bring business to your organization, right? They bring business to your organization, a very big business. And most of the time, some of the organizations heavily depend upon these big customers, the VIP customers. So for that reason, they would be having a different case handling mechanisms, and for the normal customers, they would be also having a different case handling mechanisms. So for today's demo, I'm just going through these case handling mechanisms can become complex, but for for the time and for the understanding perspective, I'm just going through this simple scenario. So my customer sales my service team actually creates a case in my Salesforce organization. Okay. So when a Salesforce record is created, I want that if the customer is a VIP customer, then I will send a Google Calendar invite to my regional Slack manager. And also I would inform my regional manager via Slack in a personal DM that this VIP customer has raised an issue or a case. Kindly look into this with the valid details. If not, if the customer is not a VIP customer, then also it's also important for every organization, right? So for that reason, we have a channel created in my Slack where I would push the details to my sales or to my service team, or depending upon the region they are in. So for today's scenario, I have two regions in my two regions set up for the organization. One is the north and another is the east. So if the account is from north region and a case is created, then the north service team would be informed about this case, and then a valid representative from that service team can reach out to the customer, right? So it goes the very same for your east service team. So if I create a key if the account belongs to a east region, and then I create a case. So for that reason, I would then inform my east service team, which be having a separate channel. And over the time, when you have an organization, you would be having service team depend created for the dedicated for those regions, right? So if suppose I'm in India, I don't want, because India is a very huge market, there are so many customers, I don't want a centralized service team, right? So it would increase the load on that. And for that reasons, many organizations, they segregate it based upon the region, like north service team or east service team, or depending upon the state or the cities, they create this different service team, so that they can concentrate and cater the request and give a better service to the customers, which could also help bring business to them. So we did go through the use case. Again, I would just say that create a case in Salesforce, send a calendar invite if the customer is a VIP. Also send a Slack to my regional manager or the service team in the channel. So this is just a use case which I'll be going through. So before that, we went to the use case, right? So we need to understand the technical requirements. We need to understand which product is suitable for this kind of scenario. So first question to ask, do you interface with systems which have APIs? And if we see, we have three systems which we be interacting with. It is Salesforce, Google Calendar, and Slack. And yes, all of these three systems have an API exposed. Second thing, do you process documents or images? No. Currently, I'm not processing any documents or images. Third thing, do you interact with websites or legacies? No. If this was legacy applications which are no API exposed, if this was the case, then I would have used MuleSoft RPA, because RPA doesn't require an API interface. It can you need to have a dedicated VM for these RPA bots to run, and with the help of RPA manager, you can also monitor and check if there are any errors or not for in the MuleSoft RPA bot processes. your fourth question would be, do you need to perform complex data processing? As said, it is no. If this was yes, then I would have definitely went with Anypoint platform, because Anypoint platform gives us a very granular control about how many vcores I want, what is the kind of data processing I have to do, what kind of, I can customize the input and the output data from for my systems. So these are the things. Apart from that, do you need to integrate systems not supported by Composer? Currently, Salesforce, Google Calendar, and also your Slack, everything has been supported by MuleSoft Composer. So for right now, the answer would be no. But I would say that if suppose this answer would have been yes, if you are integrating with another custom service which you have built and you want your Composer to interact with that custom service, so we have a generic HTTP connector in our Composer. You can just enter your URL and the client ID secret, and depending upon the authentication, and then you can let your Composer interact with your external service. Then the last question, do you have intensive development experience? No. Currently, I have the development experience, but depending upon the use case, it is right now no. Because as said that MuleSoft Composer was built with having an admin in mind. It was not dedicatedly meant for developers, but for the admins, keeping in mind, because admins don't have a development experience and they would rather go with automation suite, right? So for that reason, we are using MuleSoft Composer. So before proceeding to all of, like, we understood the technical documentation and now the technical requirements, and we came to a conclusion that yes, MuleSoft Composer is the right tool for this business process to get automated. But before that, okay, we before that we need to also have some things in our mind before using Composer, right? We need to understand where the data comes from and where does it go. Does the data needs to be filtered? What transformation must be performed? And do different circumstances require different actions? So you need to understand all of these questions. Also understand, determine the trigger run and the schedule when you want this Composer flow should be triggered, and based upon that you design a Composer flow. So starting with your questions, okay, where does the data come from and where does it go? Currently, when I create a case in Salesforce, it goes to Google Calendar and Slack, right? Then second question, does the data needs to be filtered? No, because right now I want to concentrate on all the cases, and then based upon the VIP statuses, I would then reroute inside my Composer flow rather than creating a dedicated flow. Third thing, what transformations must be performed? So currently, if I say that every external system only requires certain input data in it, right? They won't let you enter data in different format. For that reasons, I need to convert the data in Google in the format that Google Calendar and Slack requires and accepts. Then do different circumstances require different actions? Yes. So currently, as said that I would check that if the customer is a VIP or not. If the customer is VIP, then I would perform a different set of actions. If the customer is not an VIP, then I would custom another set of actions. So for our reason, if the customer is VIP, then we would send a Google Calendar invite and then inform my regional manager of the case created. If not, if I'm a normal customer to an organization, then my service team, regional service team, would be informed on the case creation, and then a valid service representative from the team would reach out to me and understand and solve my problem. Then we need to understand that, determine the trigger run and schedule. I want that whenever a new case is created, then only this Composer flow should be triggered. We need to be very particular upon the trigger run and the schedule, because because MuleSoft Composer comes with a very strict amount of task or number of tasks, which we say that data process to external system, right? We don't want to get wasted or anything. So for that reason, I need to understand that should it be only triggered when the case is created, or should it also be triggered when the case is updated? And for that reason, right, you need to also be very strict about the when this Composer flow would be triggered. So I have answered all of these questions. So first thing, I came to a conclusion that yes, Composer is the right tool for this business process to get automated. Second thing, I answered these checklist items, which would help me to understand MuleSoft Composer flow and design it in a much better way. So whenever you are creating a composer, I would rather say that create first create a flow chart. Okay, we need to create a flow chart. These flow chart would help you understand and visualize the flow in much better way. So right now, if suppose my case is created, I would first check if it's a VIP customer or not. If it's a VIP customer, I would send a Google Calendar invite. If And then I would then send a direct message to my into my Slack channel to my regional manager. If the case is, if the account where the case is created is not an VIP customer, then I would check which region it belongs to. If it's north region, then I'll post a message in my north region Slack channel to alert the service team. And similarly it goes for my east service team. If the case is created and it belongs to an account or a customer who belongs to an east team, then I would alert my each service team about this newly created case record. Now you would be thinking that it's a flow chart, right? And this flow chart is actually what we do in my MuleSoft RPA. In MuleSoft RPA, we have a entire cycle where we evaluate and then we come to design. So we don't directly proceed with the bot development. We first decide it, and we first decide what the bot should do, how many bot tasks should be there. Would I need a user bot task, or I need a bot task, right? So we also design the flow chart over there, and it's called a business process model notation, or BPNN model we say. So yeah, I would stop my screen sharing. So I'll quickly take you through a demo. Currently, when you so getting access to MuleSoft Composer, again you have to ask your organization. Once you get access to MuleSoft Composer, you log in, and when you log in, you have to click on the app launcher over here, these dots over here, click over here, and you have to write MuleSoft Composer. So you can see if the MuleSoft Composer has downloaded in your, is present in your org, this managed package, then it would show up over here. So click on the MuleSoft Composer. So once I clicked on MuleSoft Composer, this is the landing page. I would then go to Composer Flows. Right now, I've already created a Composer flow for my use case, which I called as a case automation. So this is the run history page, and I would explain you right after this demo. So let me go and click on edit. I think it's open somewhere. Yeah, so if I can see that so coming back to our use case, I will trigger this composer flow when a new record is created of the object type called case, and I would not be filtering anything over here. So once this is done, so right now I would just reconnect it once. Yeah. So if I can see that if my client is a VIP client, so I have a flag, or I have a field in my case where it checks that if it's a VIP customer or not. So is true, then it is, for the default value over here is true, and for that reason I can't edit anything over here. Is true, then I would go into this if block over here. Then I would send a Google Calendar invite to my regional manager alerting about the case created for my VIP customer. Once this is done, I would then send a message to my regional manager on Slack alerting that this is the case has been created for a VIP customer and a calendar invite has also been sent to you. Okay. So these are the things for your VIP clients. So I would just minimize this. And this is the else case. I could have used else if over there, but for you people to better understand this use case, I entered a else and this, and then I added another if else. And this can go up. I'm not sure how much depth it can go, but you can have an if inside an if, or an else inside. You can have that kind of chain inside. So over here, I then checked if the region is north. Region equals north. If yes, then I would send a message to my Slack channel, okay, my North service team Slack channel, alerting about the newly created case record. If not, then I would, because it's simple, if and else block. If currently the organization only caters to two region, one is the north and another is the east. So basically, if it's not north, then it is very obvious that the region would be region would the client would be from the east region. And over here again, the same connector, Slack connector over here, entered the details and it's done. So if you want to create, so I'll just show you about how it works. So currently when I click on the plus icon, there are two things like interaction and logic elements over here. Logic elements consist of if else block and for each, and also a system action. So if I click on system action, it just lists down the available connectors for that are currently supported by MuleSoft Composer. As of now, there are 26 connectors, and the list just goes on increasing. Currently that is a connector, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name it correctly or not, but it is called as Sage Intact, where it is recently released, and it would be available to the customers very very soon. So yeah, see, we can see the Sage Intact is there. So yeah, so with Sage Intact, I think it's a 27 currently. But if not, if I have an external service, a custom developed external service, and I want the MuleSoft Composer to interact with that, then for that reason I would use an HTTP connector. If I click on HTTP connector, I have to give my URL and then authorization type and all those stuff, depending upon your external service or web service. You can, as said, you can also call a RPA from a MuleSoft Composer over here, right? So if I click on MuleSoft Composer RPA element, then it would ask me for some credentials, your tenant ID and client ID and all. So you have to enter it out, and your composer will be connected to your RPA. So whenever your flow is triggered in Composer, it would also trigger your RPA bot over in your VM, or dedicated instance which you have for the RPA bot to run. So this is all about it. Okay. So one thing where people generally make mistake is having understanding about these elements. Like I have seen a case where a person had, iterating over a list of records, and then inside the list of record, the person is checking out if the certain list is empty or not, right? if sub In this scenario, you think from a logical perspective, the for each would never run if the list is empty. And because of that, the if block, which is checking out the condition that the list is empty or not, would also never run, right? So you need to be very cautious about the flow elements where you are placing. Currently I am in my if else block, but if I enter and for each, and inside for each I would give out the list of elements, then we have these two pluses over here. Now, if I click on this plus, the element would be placed inside my for each loop. But if I click plus over here, then it would be outside my for each loop, and it would be a dedicated connection, right? A dedicated task, your user task, it would carry out. So yeah, so I would just delete it out. Right now, I don't have anything such. Yeah. So this is all about it. I'll click on save. Yeah. So my composer flow is saved. Right now, I click on test. So when we click on a test button, what happens in the background? Currently, we have a dedicated. You don't necessarily write a code for here. So whatever pointer click and you do, a code automatically code is created in the background. Okay, and then your I think it will be your MuleSoft flows would be then deployed to your Cloud Hub. So I think most probably it is using CloudHub 2.0. And the another thing is that you can't configure you can't have you can't have the you don't have the granular control of configuring your CloudHub or using the vcores or workers present to for it to run, right? Everything has been managed by your MuleSoft. So this is all about it. So right now, I have a dedicated a CloudHub I mean worker for me to for testing purpose, for testing my composer flow. And over here I would then go to my um, developer org. So this is one of the customer which I said. Currently if I see, I have added a VIP check on my account, because the account would define that who is the customer. Is the customer VIP, and for which region the customer belongs to. For that reasons the fields are present on my account. Then my case is related to an account, right? We will only create a case not for any third person. I just want to create a case, a relevant case for only the accounts which I have in my org, right? So for that reason, again I would show that it's a VIP customer and the region is east. Because it's a VIP customer, a Google Calendar invite would be created, and then my regional manager would be alerted about the newly created case record. So I would show it up to you. Click on new. Yeah. So fill in the required details. So right now I'm just entering web as the value for source, and then give out my email. Give out any random digits, and then just entering product information. I will enter the subject. And I would click on save. Yeah. So if you can see, a case has been created for my account, and the account is a VIP account. So if you remember what I said, for a VIP account, a Google Calendar invite would be created, and I would go back to my composer flow. My composer flow, it is still polling out, and it is still checking if a case has been created or not. So this is not a real time. Composer flows are not real time, but they are near time. That means that it would take some time for it to understand, but it won't take time to understand that. So wait for a few seconds, and it would then understand that a case has been created in my Salesforce org, and it would then process out the required data. So with that, let me also tell you about. So we have an automation product in MuleSoft, saying MuleSoft Composer flows, right? With that, we also have an automation tool in Salesforce called as Salesforce Lightning Flows over here. So this is the UI of standard UI of Salesforce Lightning Flows, consisting of record trigger flow, screen flow, schedule trigger flow, and all. So depending upon the use cases, we use any one of it. So this is another automation tool which is present, and currently I'm not sure when this will be released or not, but there is a plan to integrate both my lightning flows with my composer flows. So if you can understand that my composer flow has understood that a case has been created, and if I can see, I can just show you again. So this is the case where I had created account related to the case was related. The case was created related to this account, and I have the ease VIP check as true over here, right? And for that reason, I can see it successfully identified that yes, the VIP it is true, and then it sent out a Google Calendar invite over here, and also a Slack message over here. So let me show you. So see, this is the Google Calendar invite created currently. Okay. see the timing, it is 12:47, which is the current time, and it's sent a Google Calendar invite. Hello, my site, with the necessary details, right? The case number, the case description, then case priority, medium, and also the email address of the client, because the client is a VIP client. And also a Slack message would be sent to me, to the regional manager in this case. So if we can see, it's a VIP customer. Okay, so necessary details has been also be sent to the regional manager, which in this scenario is me. So if you can see that, that case number, case description, title, the case priority, contact email, and also cautionary message that a calendar invite has sent to you. So we did explore the scenario where a case is where the client is a VIP client. In another scenario, if suppose I have a normal customer to me, he or she has raised a case. So in that scenario, my organization should also understand the client, even if the person or the organization is not no VIP. Then also we need to understand and help our businesses grow, right? Someday the client can become a VIP client for us. So for that reason, see, we I have another account created, uh, Burlington account, it's named. And if I can see, the East VIP check is false over here, and the region has been sent to North. So again, reiterating, if the region is North, then a Slack message will be pushed into my Slack channel of my North region. So if you can see, yeah. So right now I can test my composer flow over here. I would go to related list and create case over here. Fill in the necessary details or the valid ones, and then give out the product details. Then I would tell that, so I would now create a case. Now this account is not a VIP account, and belongs to the North region. So North region. So right now, if I can go back to my composer flow, it is still not sensing that has the case record created, is still sensing that. So it's not real time, but it's still near real time, I would rather say that. So let us wait till this composer flow identifies that case has been created. Till then, are there any questions on the use cases or on the product?
Maybe
Okay, so,
should submit your first.
sorry,
Yes.
thanks, Paul. So the question here is like, what are the different applications that we can, integrate part of this, composure? I mean, as you told, like, I mean, we don't go for a HTTP connector based integration over here. I mean, as you give an example, maybe Salesforce, like that. Do we have any list of applications that we can integrate?
Yes, we do have the list of applications that we can integrate. And as said that, if you have an external web service, then you can easily use an HTTP connector using
Mhm.
that. And if suppose you already have the connector which is already provided by MuleSoft Composer and MuleSoft Composer, then it's much better to go with that rather than having using the HTTP connector. If it's not present, then use an HTTP connector for that reasons. Another thing as of now is just support REST calls and not SOAP calls. So
Also, also, okay.
if you have some SOAP web service, then AnyPoint platform is your go-to tool.
Okay, okay.
Hey,
And
Mikesh.
only for web service based, as you told, right? Like not like any other. Uh, I mean, not like any other protocol we can use over here.
Yeah, only REST and HTTP protocol, I would rather say.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Hey, Magesh, this is Ravi Kumar. I have a question. These will connect to on-prem systems also, or only on the cloud? Uh,
um as No, the thing is that, see, you can use your anypoint platform with that to connect your on-prem system and let your composer interact with your anypoint platform, and then you can I mean, it's not direct connection, but you can have an indirect connection set up with the help of anypoint platform.
okay. So one more thing is like you told that there are change events triggering, right? So
Yeah.
we can database is also part of that applications. The list of applications, whatever shown, we can
uh,
connect even database also and trigger it. The change events.
so basically, as of now, I don't see any
Okay.
database event
Okay.
triggering the composer flow.
Okay.
However, I have seen an idea posted on ideas.exchange, and I hope that that would also be taken in consideration for the future.
Okay, got it. I think it's like similar like Tipco, Flogo, or Workato. Yeah, I think this kind of a
Yeah,
yeah.
for,
I
as
think
of now, they just support external SaaS applications, I would rather say.
correct. Yeah. Okay. That okay. Yeah. Thanks, Magesh.
Thank you. So, coming back to our demo part of it, so if we can see that the case, it recognized that the case has been created, and I would again show you this was the account with the region as set as north. So, if I can see, it understood that the region is equals north, and then it executed this element, and if I can see you, I can show you the Slack. So see, MuleSoft Composer has successfully sent my Slack message into my Slack channel, which would alert my service team, not service team, that a case has been created for us. Okay, so for the time, because of time, I can, if you want, the thing is that it works the very same way for north and the east. So again, for the east, if I go here and click east over here, click on save again. I mean, just for the demo perspective, we can do that, but it works the very same way how it worked for the north region. Again, if the region is north, then if the region is east, then because this if block will evaluate to false, and then it would go to this east this else block, and it would directly send a message to my east service team about the newly created case record for my customer. So if you can see, this is a e-service team, and I can like not right now, but if you can see that the case, it successfully pushes a message to and alerting my e-service team about the newly created case record. So this is all about your composer flows. And right now, if I can tell you about how this flows can be triggered. So if I click on, you have to go to composer flows, click on new flow over here, and then you get two options. One is triggering itself using a trigger, otherwise a trigger scheduler. Otherwise, you can have a setup an external SaaS application which would then trigger this composer flow. So I'll click on see. So as said, these are the two. One is the logic or the scheduler, which would trigger the composer flow by itself. I want it to trigger once in a day, or once in an hour, so it will do that. Currently I cannot set up a valid cron expression which we use, right, for scheduling the flows. A valid cron expression which right now does not support. So for interaction part, I click on system event, and if I can see, these are the connectors which are present, and based upon the events occurring into these connectors, my composer would identify and then trigger the composer, that it would then execute the actions present inside the composer flow. So as said that Composer, RPA, and Anypoint platform can work together, and you can integrate these three products in very easily. And if you can see, my RPA can invoke a composer. My composer could also invoke an RPA, and also my Anypoint platform can be invoked. So this is all about it, and I'll show the logic part of it. So I need to set out like once in 15 minutes or 30 minutes or all. So I can't set a custom scheduler like I want it to execute at this time of the day or not. We can't do that currently, but I hope they include this as a part of the roadmap, product roadmap in the future. So this is all about it. I hope everyone are clear from the demo perspective of the use case. Other than that, whenever we are trying to use a product, the first question comes in our mind: what happens in the case of error? We don't always look a product from a positive perspective. We would also have it what happens in the case of errors, right? We don't want to have a customer very bad experience and leading to, we don't respond to cases because we are not getting the proper Slack messages or alerts about the newly created case records. And end of the day, it cost my organization with losses of accounts and leads and each and everything, right? So for that reason, errors are very important perspective when we look from an application, a developer or a user. So in case of errors, currently there are no key error handling mechanisms. So whenever a composer flow fails, then there is a run history over here. So as I showed, when you click on the composer flow, this page opens up. Then in this page, I can see that there is a run history over here with the status of failed and why did it fail. You get the information of each and of the logs over here. And then you can based upon the statuses, like it will either be succeeded or either it will be failed. So in terms of failure, you can then filter out your logs based upon their statuses. So this is all about your error handling part of composer flow. And again, I have read it somewhere, I'm not sure on this, but the team is currently working on error handling mechanism. I'm not sure how it is, but just heard of it. So this is your demo, and also from error handling perspective in MuleSoft Composer. So as said, there are 26 connectors, and recently it has now become 27 with the addition of Sage Intact in the list. So we can see that it's currently Salesforce. It currently supports Salesforce, NetSuite, Jira, then RPA, Snowflake, and the list goes on and on. So there are total 26 connectors, right? And end of the day, it is, if you ask me, it is not 27. I would rather say it is 26 plus n, because 26 are the inbuilt connector, but we have a generic connector, we call it as HTTP connector. So if your external web service, a REST web service, is hosted on like on AWS or GCP or anywhere you want, or on Heroku as well, you can use that URL, then connect your connector, your composer with your external web service, and with the help of that you can integrate multiple systems, right? So this is all about your connectors which are available in my composer. So before we did went through all of these scenarios, right? Composer, we talked about composer and automation. And but when using composer, there are some key things we need to keep in our mind before using it. First thing, it is reusability. In Salesforce, we have the flexibility to reuse flows. Even in MuleSoft Anypoint Studio, we can directly reuse the flows, create separate flows, and then call those flows inside another set of flows. But in MuleSoft Composer, this is not the case. Okay, we need to create a very different flows, and none of it is reusable. It's the first point. Second point, there is a no I would rather say there is a no mechanism for sandbox to production. Or so when we develop an applications, we first develop it in sandbox, and then we do regression testing, integration testing, unit testing, and each and every testing we perform, and then we push it to production, right? But in this case, this composer would be directly installed in your production org, in your Salesforce production org. And then what you have to do over here, when you connect a system, like in case of Salesforce, you can connect it to, there is a checkbox over there, connect to like sandbox or sandbox. Or if you click on that, then we would then connect our sandbox Salesforce org with our composer org. And once we identify that yes, my composer is all set to go into production, then I would simply go and change the connection and point it to my production org. So this is the another consideration we need to think of when using composer. third thing, there is no system of versioning. So whenever we create flows in Salesforce or anywhere, we have this versioning system, right? We create like 1.1, then it goes on 2.1. We increase the version depending upon the latest one. And then there is no concept of versioning. Either it is one or it is nothing. So if we want to edit, we will edit the very same composer flow. We would not be creating a new version of it. There is an option to clone, but then again, it would be a separate instance of composer flow all by itself. So this is another thing. The fourth point is it's near real time and not 100% real time. We did see that my composer, when I created a case in my Salesforce, or it took some time, a small amount of time, to identify that yes, a case has been created in Salesforce, right? So it's near real time and not 100% real time. Fourth point to consider. The fifth point is each record processed to a target system would count as each task. So there is an package which is MuleSoft currently provides you. One is a purely standalone MuleSoft Composer package. Another one is a MuleSoft automation package. So in a MuleSoft Composer, I think for $27,000 you get some 2.5 million tasks, and each task is counted as a record processed to your external system. So if you can think of that, right? So if suppose I have 10 systems, and I have my composer flow interact with those 10 systems, then it will be 10 task record utilized, spent for interaction. So we need to keep this in mind as well. When talking about the MuleSoft automation package, you have some credits given to you. I don't remember those things very well, the pricing perspective, but I can say that with the help of that, you can easily purchase composer, composer, RPA, and also Anypoint platform. All are bundled together, and the price is a bit, I would rather say, cheap when we compare to outside things, right? So this is another thing we need to consider. And the last thing, but it's very important, that for bulk data operations, so someone asked me that we can do it, we can we for this scenario, I can use Anypoint platform, but I can also use Composer. Which one to choose? If your data, if the operation is very, very bulk, you are using, there is a transactional data is happening, okay? And you can think of transactional data, these are very huge in quantity, and every single day very huge amount of data gets processed between systems and all. So MuleSoft Composer is not meant for that. If you try to, you can utilize MuleSoft Composer, there is no harm, but end of the day you would be exhausting your limits that are set in your purchase packages very easily, and then you have to go on topping up the limit. You have to spend extra money and go topping up the limit. But end of the day, if you ask me, all three are certainly a win when we want to have an end-to-end automation, right? So MuleSoft automation, it's basically like it helps us integrate any system. It can also help us integrate any data in any system. It helps us to get connected, like deliver connected customer experiences, and also provides us end-to-end automation. As I told, it can, RPA can interact with my legacy system. My composer can interact, with very easily with no code. I can integrate multiple systems, have an integration ready in no time. And my Anypoint platform, with the help of Anypoint platform, I can, I can build up some complex processes which would help me further. And end of the day, we can each of these product can communicate with each other in a bi-directional data flow. So end of the day, if I see that each and every product in its own is a purely a win for your organizations. uh, so we did talk about MuleSoft Composer automation package, then RPA, Composer mainly. So the another set of question that comes into our mind, I have learned all these things in today's meetup, but where do I get started with? How can I get access to MuleSoft Composer? So MuleSoft conducts workshops on MuleSoft Composer once a month. Currently, yesterday it was conducted, but I am not sure upon when the next one would be conducted. But keep an eye on that, and also do be connected with me on LinkedIn. I would be posting about the updates upon getting access to Composer via these workshops. Okay. Second thing, if your organization is a partner with MuleSoft or Salesforce, then you need to get in touch with your Salesforce account executive to secure access to MuleSoft Composer. So from there also you can get access. Other than that, once you get access, or you get access or not, sometimes you won't be getting access. It's a very lengthy process when you are in a and very, depending upon the organizations, right? So in the meantime, you can be part of the Trailblazer community group. There are updates posted by Isabella, who is a community manager in MuleSoft for specifically for Composer and RPA. Then there is dedicated Composer, MuleSoft Composer trail mix, which you can go through, which would also help you get started with your Composer, MuleSoft Composer, and also MuleSoft automation journey. Apart from that, as I said, that MuleSoft Composer is as of now not freely available, but there is a trailhead simulator available for the Composer flow. So this is the link which I would share you in the chat. Okay, so with the help of that, you can go over there. You won't be getting the full, you won't be getting access to Composer, but it would certainly provide you some of the experiences that you may be getting from MuleSoft Composer. And you would be also going through a certain use case which we went through today, a case automation journey. So it will be also very similar to what we did today. So this is all about it. So as said, this is the community forum. So first thing, to help you get started with your Composer journey, go and just be member of this MuleSoft Composer Trailblazer community forum. This will, if you are stuck somewhere, you want a better understanding, I am very active over here. You can find me. It's not only me, but you can also find the other MuleSoft Composer product managers very active over here. We have Isabella, who, she herself is very active over here. So rest assured, your all your answers would be also your all your answers would be your all your questions would be answered in this Trailblazer community forum as well. So this is all about from the MuleSoft Composer demo perspective for today. I hope everyone learned something new and about MuleSoft Composer and automation package as a whole, and take away some learnings and also give back to the community. That's it from my end. Thank you. If there are any questions, then I would be happy to answer as well.
Yep, Megish, just a question here.
Yeah.
So since it's inside Salesforce, is it covered by governor limits as well?
The thing is that your Composer is a very standalone, I would application. So even if it's present on Salesforce it's actually a managed package. So nothing is working inside Salesforce, right? It's a completely different product. So what happens when I create a case in my Salesforce, Composer will query my Salesforce or query differently, and then it would identify that yes, the case has been created. So there is nothing to do with the governor limits over here.
Got it. Thank you.
So it's time for question and answer. So I can see there is no question in the chat also. I think you have uh, explained very well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Also, just a second, I would be sharing out some links, and yeah.
Yeah, let's go with other slides. Then we will share at the. So the next slide is like take a stand. Like nominate yourself for the next meetup speaker, and you can suggest a topic as well. And you can you go to the next slide? You can reach
Yeah.
out to us, any of the co-leader, for becoming a speaker. And what is next, like you can share, like you can tweet or you can share that this meetup feedback in the LinkedIn or Twitter. And also, like at the end you will get some survey feedback, and there also you can suggest the topic for the upcoming event. And for any topic you can reach out to us, like Om, Amit, or me. And we have a like one more session scheduled after 2 weeks, and that is related to the SAP integration. And hope that will be a live demo, so you can register for that and join us again. Thank you, Magesh.
Thank you. I mean, everyone, Om, Amit, and Sham, for giving me the opportunity to share my MuleSoft Composer knowledge. Also, with that, I went through so many things. I would also share some important links which would help you to get started with your journey. Stop my screen sharing, and yeah. So currently, you can, if you have any doubts in MuleSoft Composer, understanding MuleSoft Composer, then you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, Twitter, and all. Also, I am also creating videos on MuleSoft Composer as well as RPA on my YouTube channel. So I pasted out the link, so you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And if you have any doubt, if I'm not able to respond, then also you can, in the meanwhile, you can also post it in Trailblazer community. As said, we have some very much active product managers who have, working very closely with the product team, and that can help you get started with your, understand Composer and help you solve your queries as well. With that, I have also posted few ideas on ideas.exchange upon how to get, how to improve the product overall. So I also posted down the links. So I would expect that if you can go through, and if you find any of the ideas very worthy for the Composer and MuleSoft package as a whole to improve, then that would also be helpful to everyone. So the last thing I would say, but not the least, uh, please be part of the community forum. You can, learn so many things, get updates, and if you are lucky, you can also, interact with product managers and work closely with them, understand the product more in much better way. So yeah, that's all from my end for today.
Also, you can keep an eye out for the workshop conducted by MuleSoft. Even I have attended one workshop for the MuleSoft Composer. So that will be a live session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of that, from that attending the Composer workshop, you can get access to Composer for, for certain period freely.
Yeah. Maybe you can share your feedback. I can see Rabi is also here.
Yeah, it's a nice session. Thank you very much.
Glad, I mean, it was I hope, it's glad that you liked the session and learned something, and I hope that everyone learned something from the session and also give back, let other people also understand Composer and Salesforce Customer 360 as a whole. So yeah, that's all from my end for today. Hope to, meet you all people soon in another set of meetup.
Yeah. Thank you, Magesh. Uh,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, others, for joining us on the weekdays. Yeah. I think we are good to close.